Hey, this is Ross Payton with Role Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 74, Kickstart My Heart. We're going to be talking about Kickstarter this episode, and with me, as always, is Tom Church. And with us...
I literally don't know what to say anymore, man. I can't do the announcer voice thing anymore.
Yeah?
I guess it's kind of like immersion therapy. I've heard it so much, it doesn't even faze me.
Oh, well, poor Tom.
So I'm going to have to find other things to complain about. Like,
God,
Ross, you are hideous today.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. Can you just get walleye?
We also have a special guest here, Caleb, who's wanted to talk about... We're talking about Kickstarter. Yeah. We couldn't talk about the...
He's hideous, though.
The moneyed gentleman himself with his hugely successful no security Kickstarter.
So. When are you two just going to get it over with and get married? The fans want to know. I mean, the won't they
the
thing.
fanfic writers, we're the
when
OTP.
The state of Missouri recognizes what we have is real, that's when it will happen.
But I don't know. I think the fanfic writers want the
no. You want to talk about a Kickstarter?
The forbidden love, OTP.
Hey, Ross,
that's
Ross,
what they want.
How much would the Kickstarter have to raise for us for the final words for us to get married?
Well, it would be for the wedding video. That's what the Kickstarter is for.
Yeah. So
it's for creative projects.
So, what amount are you seeing in that one? Like six figures?
My mind is broken at this point.
The base goal is $600,000. We want it to be a magical evening.
I've heard of gay for pay, but this is getting ridiculous. In news of RPPR, we are going to first be talking about on the RPPR actual play. I posted a couple of guest games that were sent in to us. Early playtests of the 13th Age, a new D&D iteration from Pelgrim Press, very, very loosely based on the OGL 3rd Ed, written by Jonathan Tweet and Robert, who wrote Ars Magica and Over the Edge, and then Robert Heinsoe, who was the lead designer for 4th Ed D&D. And it sounds like a really cool game, so I thought I'd give you guys an early chance to listen into it, see what this is all about. So if you like this, these are totally different people, not the RPPR crew, so let me know what you think, whether you like it, you didn't like it, if I should put it on the community AP site, which we actually have, with a lot of podcast actual plays from the RPPR community. So let me know about that.
We've also put up one of our video projects.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
we're doing Riffs, the movie script reading. I know Caleb was really disappointed he couldn't be a part of the script reading because Riffs Path of the Storm, we all know how much Caleb loves Riffs.
Oh, yeah.
If he could marry a game, it would be that. So,
and he wouldn't,
speaking of forbidden
and he'd do
love,
that for $50 on a Kickstarter right there.
Exactly. So we'll be posting more scenes that we've read from that later on. But, Caleb, you actually had some news about your Kickstarter, No Security, because you finally figured out the final stretch goal for your game, for your Kickstarter. So tell us.
I've got a lot of requests in the comments and in private messages to add a print version. And while that's something I definitely wanted Heaven on Games to do eventually, I had no idea we would ever get to even the point of considering it first time out. But we're there, so I've looked into some print-on-demand services and whatnot, and if we get to 7,500, I'll have Ian basically redo the layout for everything. Hi, Ian. And we'll send it to press. So there's 7 days to make me miserably busy. If you would like to do that. Yeah, and wealthy. Yes, I will roll around in my money before I give it to Ian, and
you'll get to say hi to it before it goes on a trip.
Yes, very much. But yet again, thank you again to everyone who donated and pledged. So,
all right, so that is a pretty good segue to our main topic at hand, Kickstarter. If you haven't been on the internet and looking up tabletop RPGs lately, you might not know what Kickstarter is.
And if you haven't been on the internet and this is your first time, hey, thank you for choosing us first.
Yeah, that was pretty nice of you. How did you find us?
The logical choice.
We're in a dark hole and under a rock somewhere. But Kickstarter is a crowdfunding website that enables people set up a project with a certain monetary goal, and people then get to pledge however much they want to, and they get different rewards depending on what they choose. This is all up to the project creators. Kickstarter gets 5% of whatever's raised, and then Amazon gets 3 to 4% of that as well. And that's it in a nutshell. So it's let people, big, small individual creators to fairly large game companies to go out to the public and say, hey, would you want to fund this? And the response, this spring, it's been up for a while, a couple of years, I believe. But it's only this spring that's really like taken off. Like it's really gained critical mass, I think. If you're into video games, you might have heard of the Double Fine. Double Fine, they do games like Psychonauts. What some of the other ones? Tim Schafer, of course, is the legend who did Day of the Tentacle and a bunch of other adventure games. And he said, "Hey, we'll do an adventure game if we raise like was $1 million or something like that, 800,000." And they raised like at least double that or something.
Yeah, they blew that goal away.
Oh,
yeah. And then, of course, later on, some of the original creators of the game Wasteland said, hey, we'll do Wasteland 2, post-apocalyptic nuclear winter wasteland role-playing game on a computer. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll do into that. I mean, it's... and I kicked into that. So
Shadowrun. Making a Shadowrun game that's actually has anything at all to do with Shadowrun.
It's not an FPS.
Other than the Microsoft.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to kick in until they literally threw rotten fruit at the guy who designed the first game in the trailer. And I'm like, well, that's good marketing.
Yeah.
And you can have my money now.
Yeah. So a lot of people hailed this as a way to basically cut out the middleman up until now. Basically, all professional creative games have gone through the route of publisher, or the developers who make the game. Then they go to a publisher or distributor or some sort of middleman, and that middleman takes the game to market and sells it gets into the stores and markets it. And so on and so forth. So that's how it's worked up until now. And the problem is the middleman has most of the power. They're the ones who give funding to the developer, and they decide how much effort they're going to put into marketing a game, getting it out there so people know about it. And they get to have final say in all these creative projects.
But now the middleman done fucked up and he gone.
Yeah, well, there's now alternative. And a lot of people think, oh, my God, this is going to be the panacea of gaming and everything. We're going to have just a golden age of games. And a lot of people on the other side said, oh, wait a minute. This is too good to be true. This is going to be a fad, a bubble. It's going to pop any minute now. And so what is Kickstarter? Is it as good as people say? Is it the panacea that's going to solve all the problems of gaming? Is it going to make tabletop role-playing games from their declining little niche to something more mainstream, more vibrant, more alive?
To how wars are actually resolved?
Yeah, exactly. So what do you guys think? First off, what are your overall impressions?
Well, I mean, I guess I've only really helped plan one Kickstarter myself, and that was for Aaron to go to Gen Con.
Right, that was a couple of years, yeah.
And to me,
2010.
At the time, I didn't really see it as anything like that. To me, it was just a way to raise some money so Aaron could go.
Right.
That's really all I saw it as at the time.
Right. And that's even technically we broke the rules with that because you're supposed to do it for a creative project, not like pay my car bills or paint my house or there are sites there are other crowdfunding websites. One thing I mentioned, we're using Kickstarter, which is creative projects only, and project creators can only be in the U.S. Although backers can be from anywhere. And so we kind of hedge the rules, but we did release products with that, like preview actual plays and videos and whatnot. So,
but to me,
that was just a very small amount of money.
Yeah,
too.
I think it was like 500 tops.
Yeah. So that was.
But then that was my one big experience in it until you started doing yours.
Right.
And then I saw it. Basically, I've seen it grow as you just described it.
Right.
It went from something to waste some quick cash to, hey, now's my chance to finally put out that thing I've been wanting, whatever your thing is.
Right.
Just now's my chance to do it on my terms.
Right. So yeah, that's true. Caleb, what are your overall thoughts about Kickstarter?
I think it's great. Coming from my background with creative writing in school and whatnot, I've got a lot of rejection letters.
Yeah.
A lot of rejection letters for a lot of different kind of things, and just working on the distribution side of things is not necessarily why you get into any kind of fiction writing, be it RPG or otherwise. But I don't find it completely without like rewards. I enjoy parts of it, and then, man, is it nice just to be like, I have this idea, and then okay, I can do this now, and this thing will exist because I don't have to wait 5 months from you to get a rejection slip or not get a rejection slip. So it's really liberating as a quasi-creative person.
Right. I know, like, for you, Bryson Springs and Lover in the Ice, two of the scenarios you're doing for No Security were initially submitted to the Unspeakable Oath, but because they have such a backlog, and their writers and staff are all over work too, they never got back to you, right?
Yeah, I never heard anything.
So this is and there was clearly a demand from, if you look at the episode comments on the RPPR actual play side, people really wanted to get the written notes for this scenario. So
yeah, and it's not like I'm bitter about that or anything. It's just an overall process thing. So like part of the rewards is short fiction.
Yeah.
I write a lot of it, and I show it to no one. But now, at least a few people are going to see it. Maybe they paid for it, so that's a bigger readership than I ever had before of 0.
Yeah,
and it's really satisfying. You don't have to deal with other people's. I make my own style guide. I make my own hours. I make my own deadline. It's really liberating in a lot of ways.
So it is I mean, I think even the harshest critics of Kickstarter can't deny that it is allowing niche projects that would never have found a market otherwise a chance to really appear, a chance to be. I mean, like, I know with the Wasteland 2 Kickstarter, they talk about, or was it Shadowrun? One of them, they talk about how, hey, we tried to pitch this to the publishers. We tried to pitch this to the people who had money, and they just wouldn't want to do it. They didn't think that there was an audience, or that the audience was big enough for it, or that they wanted to do the old style game. And so this is a way to do that. Now, of course, what the critics say is, one, there's this potential for fraud and scamming, which is certainly existent.
I really think they're recognizing that and moving against it, though. Having just gone through the process recently, there's a pretty extensive vetting. Like, I had to give tax information. I had to give all sorts of bank routing information. Yeah. Various things. There was a wait time. There was about a 9 or 10 day wait between I had everything completely done before it put up. So I think they are moving against that. They have a bunch of extensive rules now. So if you contribute to your own Kickstarter, you're done. You could have made $1 billion. You put $1 in, it's over. You're not going to see a dime of it. And it is important to note that the money is not real until like 14 days after the Kickstarter meets.
Right.
So like pledges go down. Like people pledge it more than they have, and then they readjust. Like it can go up and down. So I think they're moving to stop the fraud side of things as best they can.
Right.
So
I know. Yeah, there have been projects that have been canceled. I know there was a Mythic video game one where they were going to do a sequel to Myth or something like that, and then people figured, oh, they're stealing art. Like, people just, internet users on the Something Awful forums and a couple other places looked into these people, like, oh yeah, they're clearly lying. And so Kickstarter canceled the project.
Yeah.
So there is that. But another thing is, the people are another criticism is the delay. Like, people think that they have misconceptions about it. The idea that, oh, I'm going to get this video game. Well, when, like, the Wasteland 2 thing, like, I realized, I've just read the design document that they posted online. It's like 10 pages long, and just the amount of detail. We're going to have it to where your character's affected the world. People are going to notice you, and there's multiple ways of doing things, and blah 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 blah. Like the original Wasteland, which is like apparently like this ridiculously complex, although very simple graphics RPG. Like, that's going to take them at least a year to do. Like, there's no way they're going to get it done before the fourth quarter 2013. I mean, like, there's no way they can do it.
Oh yeah, I'd say longer than a year.
I was just minimum.
If you want quality, you don't rush it out the door. Like if so yeah, that's a downside to it. But then you get to see things that are so ridiculously specific in terms of demographic that they would not exist otherwise. Like Edition Wars, a competitive card game for people who were either pissed off or laugh about the 4th versus 3.5 at D&D Wars. Yeah. Like, Munchkin Nerd Edition Wars about a specific RPG game. Who's going to fund that? and then they find their audience.
Well, there have been a lot of really good tabletop RPGs as well that have been funded through Kickstarter. There's one, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Meso-American Aztec RPG. And it has decent art, too. And it's like they really get into the Aztec mythology of like, oh, here's the demon that represents the fear of warriors to die on the sacrificial table. Like it's like eater of skulls or something like that. I mean, it's very dark and very specific. And like, this is like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And with, Lulu and print-on-demand books, like that's something that they can easily produce in a low budget with a low amount of personnel. I've
actually heard someone say that the one thing he likes about Kickstarter is the fact that it also tells you if there's really any interest in your project.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he said, there's been some people I've known that they have like this dream project in their head they'd love to tell people about.
Yeah.
So they they corner you somehow in a restaurant. Like they tell you if you're out to eat and suddenly they tell you about this idea that you just think there is no way anyone would buy that.
Dungeons and Dragons, but the elves are purple and the dwarves, get this, the dwarves have flintlock guns. Totally original. Like everything else is basically the same.
I guess you're also they're your friends, so you don't want to tell them that shit.
Yeah.
But if they do this and like 2 people contribute, they might finally realize, hey, maybe it's me. Yeah,
another criticism I've seen of Kickstarter is that they hide failed projects. Like you can still find them if you know where the project is. If it's Bob's Awesome RPG, you can still go to that URL and see, oh, that failed. But like if you're trying to browse through projects, they only show you current or successful projects. They don't show you failed projects. Actually, if you look at the recent statistics, only 44% of projects get funded. I think something like that, less than 50%. But again,
that's still better odds than taking your chance with a publisher.
Yeah, well, yeah, but a lot of these failed projects are people who clearly have no idea. Like, I'm going to do an MMO. What's your budget? What are you asking for? $5,000? Like you're not doing an MMO with $5,000. So there is some expectations meeting reality. There is that aspect too. But one of the things so the idea is like is this the greatest thing? Is this going to be a bubble or is this going to stick around? I mean,
my personal opinion, I see it sticking around. Maybe not as the new thing.
Yeah,
but I think it's more going to be like an option for somebody.
Yeah,
I think its niche it will always be there for someone who has an idea but knows they'll never get a mainstream publisher or whatever to look at it. I think it's gonna be more of a way to get a better chance to get your stuff out there.
Right,
is more the way I see it.
Right.
There's the scamming thing, and I'm sure that there's a number of those failed projects that deserve to meet, and they would have been great. And it was just a distribution or, networking issue, because a lot of that's a factor. But at the same time, nothing about Kickstarter precludes professionalism. Like, the stuff I put on there, I try and vet it as much as something I'd send in for submission, if not more. Yeah. And there are projects that I've seen that are just like laughably bad. Sentence fragments in the descriptions, terrible videos, and,
no video.
Or no video, and no kind of reputation for the person, nothing to follow up. I don't think in any way it precludes quality at all. I think you have to be professional in order to get it funded. So, and in that line, I see it lasting. Maybe not at the level it's at currently. I still, before I put it up, I feared I'd missed the boom times. Like, after the third $4 billion funded video game, I'm like, oh no, this whole thing's going to come crashing down after I hit post. But I don't think that's the case. I don't know if it'll keep up like it's going now, because it's really popular now. But I do think it's going to stick around, and I think it's a good thing it's sticking around.
Well, I mean, one of the things that very interests me is how few people, even with the $1 million Kickstarters, how comparatively few people are actually kicking into it and to raise $1 million or $100,000. These projects will have 10,000 people, and that'd be a huge amount of people. But if you think about the numbers of how many people it takes to make a TV show popular, a movie popular, a video game popular. They talk of like, oh, we sold 1 million units of, GTA, 4 or whatever. And that, like, 1 million people. And all you needed to get this game funded was 10,000 people, And so there's this idea. And then, like, a lot of these smaller projects, especially the tabletop RPGs, they have, like, 100, 200, maybe 300 people, for the larger projects, for the tens of thousands of dollars. 300 people raising $50,000 for something,
And I also like the variety of stuff on there.
Yeah,
it's not just books or movies. I saw one I remember one I heard there was a special effects guy that was like a student of it that was trying to get money for like a zombie movie.
Yeah,
and it was just him trying to and he showed in his video, he showed off some of the stuff he'd done that looks really good.
Yeah,
and just says like, hey, like it's like, see all this cool like zombie makeup and shit. Like help me raise this money and we'll make a movie with it.
Yeah.
And everyone there's like free copies of it.
Yeah.
I think there's like the highest one, like you can actually get a brief speaking part in it.
Yeah, that's the web series are always very interesting. I've actually kicked into a few Kickstarters. We'll talk about them more in the shoutouts. But yeah, like there's some, like the vanity rewards are actually kind of an interesting topic. Like the rewards of these Kickstarters are left up to the creators, and the standard things are like, well, thank you on the website. We'll give you an item of whatever we're making, a DVD, book, PDF, whatever, or digital download.
But if that's not enough for you,
if you want it, like for tabletop RPGs, like one of the things is having the guy run a Skype game for you. Caleb, you're doing that. I've done that for the Ransom project.
I've seen have a custom NPC created by you in the game.
Yeah. What was your ultimate reward for No Security?
I'll design a new monster just for your gaming group, and then Ian's going to sketch it. So I'll write up the little ecosystem.
And you've got 2 people.
Yes.
How much was that? How much was that for?
That was $250. So that'll I'll be able to pay Ian for his sketch.
Yeah.
And then I will do the work with the donor to see if they have any requests.
Right, and then of course they'll be getting all the other previous rewards too, which includes the seat at the Skype game. And one of the other things...
I did have to cap Skype games because with the 250 donors, I have 14 different people in need of Skype games now. So I'm going to be running Skype games for August. So that's a lot of Skype. That's a lot of Skype games. But I'm sorry, I wish I could have done more. But school will start again, and I will have to go back to work.
One side benefit, like I know when I've done the RPPR ones, like for the Skype games, I've let other people post the recordings of them. Like I always record the games. Like there's easy to get software to record MP3s of your Skype games or whatever, and then I've either posted them on like the Unspeakable Oath or let them post it on their website. Like there was the one of the what was the game called? The one I ran the 8-player game for. Sordid Dystopia. Remember that? That was a Skype.
Oh, yes.
Well, I need to put a link for that in there so you can listen to that. That was a bit crazy because again, we had 8 people show up for that game,
and we had the creators
people were listening in over Skype for that. So
and the thing is, we
horribly butchered their system because
we also kept looking over something crazy would happen. Then most of us would look over to the screen to see what they were typing.
Yeah. So having an audience for that, so it's kind of an unusual reward.
Our egos know no bounds.
Yeah. My single favorite part of that game was when I improv the line of like this crazy godlike emperor who has this weird palace, which is described as having different architectural styles blended together, and I describe it as like MC Escher barfing Minecraft onto the landscape.
Oh yeah,
I think everybody. That was good.
And we all loved our characters too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. So you should listen to that actual play on the Drunk and the Ugly. I think
it's madness.
So yeah, it is madness. So I think there are a lot of the Kickstarter rewards are like for thousands of dollars, and they'll like have a concert if you're a musician, for the person, or we'll come to your house and party with you or whatever. I know like Amanda Palmer and Neil Gaiman did one where it's like for $10,000 or like thousands of dollars, you can have a meal with us, somewhere or something like that. So like exactly. So there's that. Do you think those are a ripoff, or do you think those are like...
Well, the thing is, I would say they're not a ripoff precisely because it's an option.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
If you want... if If you get that, it means you wanted it enough to pay the money.
Yeah, it's true.
So at that point, you're like, how can that be rip off? Like, well, you donated the money for it.
Yeah.
So you must have wanted it.
Yeah.
I kind of think it gets rid of a lot of the reward rip-off stuff. Like, just say you didn't have to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no sort of guidelines for like how much something like that should be worth, but like
so that it makes it entirely up to the person donating.
But there have been like some sort of market kind of guidelines have been set. I know like Dennis Detwiller, for one of his recent Kickstarters, offered Skype games, but it was like $1,000 for a Skype game or $3,500 for an entire campaign that he'd run, and I don't think anybody kicked into that at that level. So
yeah, I mean, I think you can price yourself out in any reward level, but the upper vanity levels as well.
Yeah,
like I mean, I love y'all, but I don't think I'm going to go get on a plane and go to somebody's house for any amount. It's just
given
like,
the comments they've had, that was probably a wise
I mean, like,
decision.
that'd be great. And if we were just doing it because, we're cool, we're hanging out, that's fine. But if you're, like, paying, God, it's going to be so awkward. That just has to be the most awkward situation. It's like a one-act play awkward. Like, you would have to write about it afterwards. So I think people can definitely price themselves out at that range. But at the same time, as Tom said, don't do it if you don't want to. Or donate, rethink about it, and take your money away. Like, until the project meets and it's over, like I said, that money's not real. It's in your bank account. You can completely readjust. You could drop out entirely.
Yeah.
So don't do that for no security. That's an exception.
I'll take my $1
That's all locked.
Yeah, that'll break you.
I was stuck on 666, Ross. I was terrified.
That's okay. Yeah, that actually happened the first day it was up. It was at $666, and Caleb messaged me like, "Oh God, nobody's going to contribute now because no one's going to want to break it." And I'm like, "God damn it, fine, Caleb." I put $1 in, so it's $667. I shit you not. Like 1 minute later, Ian Moody like messaged like, "You're the one who broke it, didn't you?"
He talked to me.
He was
too.
like, and I'm like, "Yes," because Caleb was freaking out. Okay.
And he's like, Ian told me they are dead to me.
So now one of the other things talking about the value of things is what is the value of Kickstarter itself. There's actually, I read right before this episode started an essay talking about why Kickstarter is overpriced and should be shut down.
I remember you mentioning that as I walked in.
Yeah, I was just finishing up the essay when Tom walked in, and the basic thesis is that this essay is that Kickstarter takes 5%, and then it only offers a web hosting, the services of a web hosting company for a few weeks or whatever, and that's incredibly overpriced because 5% is more like web hosting for a year is like $100, $120, and they're for your projects probably going to be more than $120. So there's that there, and I think it was rather stupid because he totally ignored the fact that they also processed the back end and set that up, and I think I don't know. What do you think about that? Is Kickstarter worth the 5% it takes?
Well, I've only helped with when I've written the script for a video,
right, and
contributed some stuff to things you've done.
Yeah,
but no, I don't. I think it's totally wrong. I think it's totally worth it.
Okay,
because it does a lot of the busy work for you,
right?
So you can just kind of focus on the stuff that you want to focus on, like what are you doing, what are you going to offer, things like that.
Right.
So you can focus on the shit you care about and let them take care of the niggling little details. That I think alone is worth it.
Okay.
Well, I have not read the essay, but
that is literally his argument is that it was
if it was just web hosting, I would agree. But
right.
it's a social network site as well. So when you follow people who are when backers follow you, they see everything else you back. Or whoever follows them, they see what they just backed. So that's links you're getting into people's inboxes in their emails. Like, so-and-so just backed this, and you've sent them a direct link to their email to your project. You've got embedded widgets. You've got the prestige of Kickstarter, other people following it. I think a large part of that 5% is made up for in marketing. Because especially with the one project I've done, it's been very successful, more successful than I ever could have dreamed. And that's definitely because of the generosity of the backers, but as well, I don't think as many backers would have ever known about it if I just threw it up on HebenonGames.com and said, give me money.
Right.
And then furthermore, with taxes and that's the thing you need to consider. As this gets increasingly more popular and they are increasingly more resistant to fraud, you are running a business. Like, it is CYA. If you promise something, you're going to do it because you are legally required to do so if that meets. And that is serious fraud level stuff. So, yet again, you could open yourself to a whole bag of worms if you just register a domain name and go to town and try and figure it out yourself.
Well, that's
but with
literally
Kickstarter,
what saying,
you've got established clauses.
Yeah.
And people who've done it before and things like that. So I think you're paying for ease of use at the same time.
I think
Amazon's probably taking a little bit much.
3 to
4% for not doing anything but being why not go through PayPal?
Well, I mean, it's PayPal has a lot of issues on its own. Like, if you read it,
I agree, but Amazon isn't doing nothing to publicize your project.
Yeah,
it does nothing to make it easier other than being the service by which you process the credit card payment.
Yeah.
So that might be a little high, but I don't see the 5% argument the guy's making.
I mean that's the thing is the guy's argument is literally you could recreate all of Kickstarter's functionality with a basic web hosting package, and that's true if you have a lot of skills as a web designer and as a programmer, because creating that back end of managing users, keeping track of how many people are contributing per day. There's survey lists you can email users to get their addresses and keep track of them. And the marketing angle, I think that's worth the 5%. So, but there are some people that are thinking, that Kickstarter maybe overvalued, maybe not as much as they think, but I don't know. So,
well, I mean, if you want to get into means of production kind of stuff,
yeah,
the angle about Kickstarter and the reason it's better in my mind than self-publishing is that I could have always self-published these.
Yeah.
And I could have drawn stick figure versions of the monsters.
Yeah.
And I could have laid it out in a Word document or a very, very basic PDF. Or I could have spent all summer learning how to do one of those skills and put out a crappy version of it. But the fact of the matter is, with Kickstarter, I can hire help.
Right.
I can factor that into the price. I can differentiate. I can have people working on multiple things at the same time, so it comes out before everybody who backed it dies. And that would be impossible if I just self-published it.
Right.
Especially,
or unless you max out your
especially if I
credit cards.
built a massive social networking website for Kickstarters by myself. And that's a whole nother... I've learned a lot of new skills to do no security, but not nearly the number I'd have to do if the site wasn't in place. So to the essay guy, I'd say go ahead and do it. Let's see how successful that is when you make Kickstarter in your backyard.
I will say, though, Palladium is crowdfunding on their own, just through their own website. They've done several books that way.
I'm done talking.
I know, you're just a flutter from thinking about your heart throw out there.
Oh, Palladium.
Yeah.
I can never play you, but you'll always have a place in my heart.
Yeah. We can't play that game anymore. I think the Eliminators was the swan song. I mean, really, the rules are really... moving on. Why do you kick into various Kickstarters as a backer? I've backed a lot of projects too. I know the guy who is it, Tycho from Penny Arcade has made jokes about how he's just gone down the rabbit hole of just that looks cool, that looks good, I'll sponsor that. Of course, he has Penny Arcade money, so he can afford to throw around a whole tens of dollars on things. So. I mean, for me, like I said, I'll mention one or two of them on the Silent City web series. I've also done another web series that was Cold War. Everyone goes into Fallout bunker because of nuclear war, but one of them's a vampire, and then people start showing up dead. So who's the vampire? I'm sold. Yeah. So of course they haven't released anything yet. So again, there's that time delay. Are they actually going to finish the damn thing or not? So, but I don't know. What makes you want a Kickstarter to succeed, or what makes you kick in?
Well, I think for me, the first thing is I've really got to like the project itself.
Yeah.
I have to want what they're doing.
Right.
But then of course, that, if I like the project, that will get me to donate the minimum.
Yeah.
It's only then, but first once I bolt down, okay, this project sounds cool, interesting, I'll donate. Then I'll start going through and seeing if any of the rewards are worth it.
Yeah.
And I admit, certain rewards, just if I see that, like, I want that so much. Sometimes, but really, it's really first thing I got to do is I have to really have some interest in the project itself.
Yeah.
I might like a really cool poster from a certain artist this guy's offering, but his project might also be, Booger the RPG.
Yeah.
And no.
That's true. I mean, for me, it's just what they're offering. If it's cheap, too. Like, there's one Kickstarter called the Dungeon Map, or a random dungeon generator map, and it's like a big, like, the one of the thing I got was a big, like, an 24 by 36 poster for like $17, which included shipping. So it was like dirt cheap for a nice poster of like crazy, first edition era kind of retro D&D art.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, so like I just like, oh, that's cool. I'll do that. That's cheap. So, and then it also came with PDF, so there's a lot of value to it. So for me, it's not even so much about the project per se. It's something if the reward itself is worth it. Like, I've kicked into the Wasteland, the Shadowrun, and the Double Fine one all at the base level just to get the game. Because, like, the developer diaries, behind the scenes stuff is nice and all this other stuff. But, like, and I wish I could have gotten the soundtrack, but they priced the soundtrack $20. It's not worth $20 more or $15 more than the game itself. So I don't know. What about you, Caleb?
I rarely go above like 2 or 3 reward levels.
Yeah.
I stick pretty low just because I could fall down the rabbit hole of Kickstarter too.
Yeah.
I got to be careful. So a lot of times, like if there's a physical product or something like that, I won't go for it because I just don't want to enter my address and go through all of it. If it's for a video game or something like that, I usually enter the base amount to get the video game.
The download version.
But other projects, I just want to see it exist. So, like,
really,
I donated to a comic product for $5 that I didn't get the book. I'll buy it at Barnes and Noble or something because it's going to be a product. So, I just donated $5 to like see them on their way. The Clang, what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, it's like $50 to get the basic game or something like that. So I gave him like 10. Like, I want to see people sword fighting in their living room with like Renaissance longswords and stuff. Like, I want that to be in the world. So that's usually where. So I usually donate around the minimum or like 2 or 3 levels higher, just because, not because I don't want stuff higher up, but I'm afraid that.
Yeah.
The thing about Kickstarter, not advertising failed projects is that a lot of times when they're like 1 billion% funded, I feel silly donating.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm just spending money I don't have on something. That I could wait and save up for. But I'm more likely to donate if they haven't met yet or if they haven't met a stretch goal.
Yeah.
So I always do look at that. Are they going to still use the money to make something more? So yeah.
More algae. Yeah, I guess that web series about the vampire in the bunker I did because again I just thought that was a cool idea, and that was only $10. So, but most of the time I almost always pick something that I want. Like I want Wasteland 2, so I get that. So it's interesting the different strategies. I know there have been some like ultimate goal. Have there been any like ultimate high end vanity rewards that you've like wanted to have, knew you couldn't afford, but like wish you could have been like an alter? Because I know like there was a for those listeners, the Proto Man performed in Springfield a couple of weeks ago, and we several of us went to go see them, and then, like this was like their first experience with the Proto Man, and of course it was the music was tuned badly, like it was just, but it was awesome because they put on a good show. And Caleb was there, and there's a Kickstarter for a Proto-Man documentary that was successful a while ago, and one of the vanity ultimate rewards was we will make you a Proto-Man helmet and ship it to you. So like it was like the official going to be the documentary, so you get an official Proto-Man helmet, and like if I had $500 to blow on something like that, I would have. But yeah. I
mean, I want to eat dinner with Neil Gaiman and Amanda Palmer.
Yeah.
Or one of the zombie figurine board games. I don't know. There's a bazillion zombie things on Kickstarter. One of them was like if you donated high enough, you became a figurine in the game.
Yeah,
like they made you a survivor, and then they also made a zombie version of you if your team. I'm like, that'd be kind of cool if I was a figurine in a board game, But yet again, I don't want to give them $2,000 or whatever it was.
That's a lot of money
to do that. So, if I win the lottery, I'm gonna be doing Kickstarter shit all day long. Like I'll have to schedule it tightly just to fit in all the crazy crap I'll be doing all day with celebrities and designers. But I exist in a world where we got to eat and keep roofs over our heads. So
and there's no,
we're not post scarcity yet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, don't you remember? I'm sure you both heard of like how like if you're a millionaire, if you make so much money, it's like it's impossible to spend it all. You just have to. There's no way you can because of just of how much money you have versus what you can spend it on. You can only buy so many Ferraris and shit like that. That was clearly that study was clearly made in a day before Kickstarter because I'm sure like I could, if I was fucking one of the Koch brothers or Warren Buffett, I'd like fucking blow like $100,000 a day on Kickstarter and be like, "Yep, I want that to happen." Yeah,
I'll fund the whole thing.
Yeah, about a game about llamas going into the afterlife to find the true meaning of Christmas. $50,000 done. Let's see that. Like. So you would actually become the next great patron of the arts. I would be like fucking the Renaissance, only weird video nerd games, and like Neil Gaiman and Amanda Palmer just leaving, the back, the shed behind my house, my mansion.
As you sit in your giant throne.
You shouldn't have made that reward.
As you sit in your giant throne.
Exactly.
Someone bring me the head of a pig.
Yes. How much do I have to kickstart for that? So
it's like have Neil Gaiman fiddle for me.
Well, there's even irony Kickstarters, like the Dolphin RPG. Do you want to play that because you're like, oh, the system looks really good, we're going to start a campaign, or like, do you want that for a one shot and just ambush your group with that? Like, you're all dolphins with it's like
leather jackets and switchblades.
Yeah, it's the ShamWow of Kickstarters. Like you are like the Snuggie. You buy one for the act to tell people
because your reptilian brain wants it before your
bought
logical
it. Yeah.
brain.
Well, like you buy one because it would be funny to buy one and tell people you bought one. Like, and that blew its goals away.
I looked up, it was $4,400 out of 1,000.
Yeah, so I mean, it's weird. It's weird as capitalism. People, it takes all types. So,
Ross, would you actually buy yourself your own Nigerian prince?
Is that a Kickstarter? Is that a thing?
I'd make it. Okay, so I could be like, if you're that rich, Ross, I'd be a guy that would just make up weird shit.
No, if I was rich, I would find somebody to contact the fine film producers in Nollywood, which is the Nigerian Hollywood, and have them make me a movie a week, and just like and the movie a week would be based on horse ebooks. Like I pick one random tweet, and then people in Hollywood, and I'd have somebody in China write the script and then have someone in India translate the script and send it to the people in Hollywood. It'd be the total...
you'd be internet Caligula?
Yes!
Just entertain me.
Fiddle for me.
What orangutans fighting kittens and jello? Pandas. No, pandas would be better. So,
pandas make everything better.
Exactly, like kittens. That's clearly what I would do. But one last thing we should talk about, ransoming versus, just to explain that, because you're doing basically a ransom. Now, this print-on-demand thing is the recent, but like you're just going to put that up on Lulu at the end. People will just be able to order it on their own.
Yeah, the additional funds are that so that we can basically reformat the whole thing.
But you're ransoming the main PDFs. That's the main
thing. We're ransoming the main PDF. So basically, I think everyone is doing basic selling goods and services for rewards.
Yeah.
Because those are all exclusive. So even if you're ransoming, that's like a one-time thing.
Right.
Like when Greg Stolze ransoms all his short fiction, he still only Skype talks to you if you pay a certain amount. Like so, you're always going to have that level of your basic money, exchange currency kind of thing. But other products, like it's seeing a product exist. So, for example, if the zombie board game X, I don't know, there's like 18 of them on there now. If that meets, they're not going to give it to everybody. It's going to be in a store and you can go buy it. or it's going to be online somewhere and you can buy it. Whereas Ransom is just if you meet, it will exist for free on the internet, and the rewards will be specific to you for being nice enough to back it.
Right.
So.
That's a ransom. You're holding it ransom until it can be released for the good of all, and that's what all the RPPR ones have been doing up until up till now. I will mention I am working on outlining the next official RPPR Kickstarter, which will be based on the new Heroes of New Arcadia campaign. I'm going to call it Base Raiders, and it's basically going to be a setting book for a world of superheroes and villains, but all the major ones have gone. So basically, there are hundreds or thousands of abandoned super bases around the world that need to be broken into and looted for the good of all, and also do-it-yourself transhumanism. That those are going to be the two big campaign themes. So I'm planning that, and that's going to be an actual book. That's actually going to be a book I'll print and ship out to people. And we're also going to do miniatures, like we're doing like that. There actually is a physical reward for you at certain levels where you get a ghoul miniature. Have you actually seen a photo of it yet? Has it been printed or made yet?
Ian is working.
I know I've seen the 3D
Ian
model.
is working on the mold now.
Yeah.
He's working on the prototype, which will then be turned into the mold.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a print run of it. I've seen 3D models of it.
Yeah.
Which is what he does for a lot of
You put
his
it on
art.
the Kickstarter.
Yeah, and it looks pretty gross and freaky. So, it's very cool.
I
But
just
that's a basic transaction kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the ransom thing, we're just going to put it up. And since we've met so many stretch goals, we have like 5 scenarios now that are going up for free. Ian and I have decided we're just going to hammer out one at a time. So Bryson Springs should be up in a week or so. I'm waiting on more art from Ian, and I'm doing some more editorial tweaks, but we're laying it out with PDF things, and then we're just going to move on to the next one. So rather than have everybody wait 3 months for rewards and everything, and then for ransom up, we'll be putting the ransom stuff up as we get it finished. And the rewards will go out as they are done as well. So.
Nice.
I can't give you exact dates, but it will trickle out. You won't have to wait a year and a half to see anything at all. So
that's. I'm sure the people, the fans of RP are going to be looking forward to that. One of the things I want to mention, I'm going to do rip off the miniature idea from you guys. I'll have Ian create some zombified superheroes because I don't know if you know this about me. I'm kind of interested in writing about zombies. So there's going to be
Get the fuck out!
Guffaw!
Speaking of which, Zombies of the World won Best Humor in the Benjamin Franklin Book Awards this year. So
Caleb, let us applaud Ross.
I'll just put that on loop for the next 2 minutes. Yes. So there will be a whole thing about zombified superheroes, and so we'll have some zombified superhero miniatures that you can order as part of one of the rewards for it. So we'll that of course I'm still planning it out. I don't know exactly when it's going to be up. It's obviously going to be well after the node security is done, so you have some time to recover. And but if you have any thoughts on what you want to see, one of the things I'm debating right now whether to make the book in black and white or color, or probably I'll have both. The color one will obviously be more expensive. So if there are any other high-end rewards you want to get, obviously I'll be running Skype games for people, but what would you like to have as a high-end reward?
Ross will come over to your house with a bottle of absinthe and personally watch you drink it.
All right, yeah, that's not awkward at all. Any other...
Sounds like a vanity award.
Yeah, no joke. Any other final thoughts on Kickstarter? No? Well, we'll be... Tom doesn't have a letter this episode. No one funded that Kickstarter.
I didn't see anything.
I know. Next up we'll have some shout-outs and an anecdote. We'll be
Fantastic.
Right back. And we're back. Now we're going to be doing some shout-outs.
I'd like to point out, you still do the announcer voice just with the "and we're back," and then you're right back to normal.
That's the format of the show, Tom. It's how it works. A convention. It's a standard.
Well, I don't like it.
I believe in tradition.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Not really.
Dude, I've known you for way too long.
Yep. Anyway, but that's what I do. So deal with it. We're going to be talking about Kickstarter-related shout-outs. First off, for those of you who like to Be the good guy that saves a Kickstarter. There's a new blog out called Kicksaver that all does is like you specify how much money you want to spend, and then it shows you Kickstarters that are about to end within that budget range that are only that far away from being successful. So if you like spend, say, $100, you'll see Kickstarters that are about to end that are less than $100 away from being successful. So then you can be the guy that saves the Kickstarter by spending $100 on it. And
we need a hero.
Yeah, exactly. So what I love is that it looks through all of them, and they're like, I found out about it on Metafilter, and they had a whole discussion about whether this is really a good idea or something people should do. But they're like, one of the guys like, yeah, this is kind of a waste of time. Like, one of the projects is making an 8-foot cupcake out of yarn. And they're like, what are you talking about? An 8-foot yarn cupcake of doom? How dare you doubt that?
Done.
Yeah, exactly. So
I believe in you, giant yarn cupcake.
Exactly. Of doom.
Let us go forth and fight crime.
So, getting on another blog related to Kickstarter, Caleb, I know you had one.
Yeah, the Saner one.
Yeah.
RPG Kickstarter has a Tumblr.
Yeah.
And it's just a streaming list of RPG Kickstarters.
I think they do a little commentary, and I think they've interviewed one or two guys about it.
Yeah, but it's mainly just like you go on there, they say, what's your project? Submit it.
Yeah.
You submit it, and it pops up the next day.
Yeah.
So that's all I did. So yeah, it's a good thing to promote Kickstarters if you're doing it in the RPG realm, but it's also cool if you just want to find nerd projects to go look at.
I think that's where it was either that or something awful forms where I found out about the Aztec RPG, and I wish I had contributed to it because it had the fucking eater of skulls or whatever. I mean, it's just like fucking badass Aztec mythology. Like everybody knows Greek, or like a lot of people know Greek and
Roman.
Norse and Roman, Greco-Roman mythology. Yeah, and some Egyptian and Norse. But who the fuck knows Aztec mythology? And that shit is fucking crazy.
I think there's a lot of that in Bumps in the Night, the new Glancy book.
Yeah, traditional mythologies. Yeah.
Who knew about Camisards? Huh?
Exactly. Exactly. Speaking of Mayan, like one of the just totally off topic, but one of the things I love is I found this essay talking about there's this Mayan legend about two brother gods who saved the world from evil gods by playing their traditional ball game, which is where you have to use your elbows through a narrow hoop and the things. And what's great is this essay is some archaeological like post-grad student or something comparing it to Space Jam, like Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan being the two hero brothers who saved the world through a ball game, and like makes a really good comparative analysis of these two mythic structures.
Modern academia, everybody.
As I said in the forgettable movie PCU, you can major in Game Boy if you know how to bullshit.
Yeah. So I can't believe you guys are like, this is like, that is the greatest idea for an essay ever, and I cannot believe you're making fun of it. Jeez.
We're not. We're supporting it in our own way.
Yeah. Sure you are. So next, speaking of Tumblrs and blogs, though, for those of you who are critics of Kickstarter and may think it's a little over, it's just a fad, it's all the projects are stupid. Well, here's the proof you want: Shitstarter, which is a Tumblr of the worst Kickstarters that are just ridiculous. I mean, I'm not even going to list them. Just go there because it updates every day because there's always terrible. Like, you see the ones that are like, I want to make an MMO and I'm good at video games and like I like them very much and I want $10,000 and like $20 has been contributed. That's it. Like, yeah, you did that video in MS Paint, didn't you? You just
like,
made a slideshow of him.
I was like, I am master programmer Ryu gunship.
Yeah, pretty much. So there was one Kickstarter you were talking about of RPGs that you just contributed into recently, wasn't there?
Yeah, City of Clocks.
Yeah.
It's by James Nevitt
of
Arcadream fame.
Yes.
And it looks pretty cool because it seems very China Melville influenced and industrial fantasy kind of stuff. And it's also systemless. So it's not written for any specific RPG system. It's meant to be easily transferable, and I obviously like that. That's how I wrote No Security, and I contributed to it. I've got a whole blog post about writing systemless and why it makes sense to me, at least.
Yeah.
Up at Heaven on Games. So I thought it was kind of cool that there are more of those projects coming out that aren't married to specific systems and therefore lost to anybody who doesn't play that system.
Right. Because converting it to that system is
so difficult. Nobody ever makes up numbers on the fly when they GM.
No.
It never, ever happens.
Why are you looking at me? What is this? What are you implying?
Nothing, Rob. Nothing.
He knows.
One of the things I really liked, one last Kickstarter related website was Kicktrack. That's with a Q at the end instead of CK, because we know web startups can't can't spell things normally. Anyways, it's some sort of browser plugin add-in for Firefox and Chrome and analytical stat tracking thing. I'm not sure exactly everything it does. I mean, Kickstarter provides a lot of analytics for your own projects as well. So I just found out about it, so I'm going to try it out and let you guys know later on what it does exactly. But hey, if you're into Kickstarter, check that thing out. It looks kind of cool, maybe. Is all I can say. One other Kickstarter I supported recently was Silent City, which is a zombie survival horror web series.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Son of a
urban exploration angle too, which I know is weird.
Son of a fucking bitch, Ross.
Guys running around.
You have fucking blown my mind.
Anyways, they're actually going to start showing. They finished their Kickstarter this spring, a couple months ago, and they already got the first episode. It's going to be up July 1st. So they already got the trailer out. I'll post a link to the trailer. It looks really cool. It looks like it's really well made. It was done in New York City. So yeah, that looks I got the DVD for them, so that'll be cool. Then Tom, you were talking about a Kickstarter you supported, but you didn't really.
It didn't succeed, and I'm sad.
Yeah, it was actually on Indiegogo, so I don't know if they probably got whatever funding they actually asked for or received, but yeah.
But it's H.P. Lovecraft's Arkham. It's like an MMO about finding stuff of the Necronomicon with like a human faction, a ghoul faction, and a deep one faction you could be part of. Yeah, just seemed like a really fun thing. I would love to have seen succeed.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of projects that are really cool, but they never get finished. So this will be
probably because people didn't know about them.
Yeah,
we're spreading the word.
Yes, so
we are part of the solution.
Maybe talk to them again and see if they can do it successfully this time. There's one other Kickstarter you wanted. You actually kicked into it?
Yeah. If you're a nerd, you've already heard about this. But Clang.
Yeah.
So Neil Stephenson is just like being crotchety old Neil Stephenson. He's like, I learned about sword fighting when writing fantasy books, and they don't do it right. It's not good. It's not good sword fighting. So what we're going to do, we're going to video game, and it's going to have good sword fighting. And you will actually fight with a sword in the game because motion capture is so good now. So sword fighting. Like he's like crotchety about sword fighting not being accurate enough to actual sword fighting. And so he's going to make a video game to educate the public. So people sword fighting in their living rooms. And yet again, that's one of those things where like to buy the game, it was quite a bit of money. And I didn't want to wait 8 years like when I have kids and stuff and I'm not going to be able to play video games anymore. But I want that game to exist. I want to see people learning Renaissance sword techniques. Yeah. So.
They're asking for $500,000, and as we speak, I just looked it up, it's like $288,000. So it'll probably make it. Like one of the stats I heard about in one of the various articles I read about Kickstarter, like people number crunching all the successful versus unsuccessful projects, was that if you made at least a third of your goal, 30% of your goal, you were almost certain to get become successful. So like projects either like don't get any money at all or they get all their money. There's very few projects that get like halfway and then they don't succeed.
And if you fail, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Because I mean that makes sense because most of the projects that don't succeed are the ones that are like, hey, I want to make video game. Give me monies, like because it doesn't cost them to do anything. So all the dumbasses will be like, yeah, I want $100,000 to make the best game ever, because
it's like, and what's your
how hard can it be?
And what's your production crew? Me.
Yeah, I got a guy who does keyboards. He has a keyboard. He does that. So that.
No reason.
So yeah. So those are the shout-outs. So finally, we have some anecdotes. The first one we'll talk about is with Dan, Fuzzy Dan from, you may know on the forums, the guy who played the Warlock in the New World campaign.
Kuthin,
is back. Yeah, Kuthin is back in Springfield, and he's ready to start gaming again. And first things he wants to do is run a game of Star Wars.
And we've done one session of this game.
Session so far, and using Star Wars, using Wild Talents and Star ORE, One Roll Engine. So we've made a crew of people and we have a spaceship. And Tom, why don't you go and talk about the other characters first? I want mine to be the big,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Well, I'm playing a Trandoshan soldier warrior, the captain, the owner and captain of the ship.
Yeah,
I'm in charge, and I'm playing a reptile. Go fucking figure.
Yep.
And of course, we've got David. He's in it. He's actually playing my character's adopted brother.
There's actually, Caleb brought up a good point. In the last 3 games that we've played, you and David have played brothers or people who are very close to one another. So, comments?
No.
Yeah?
I've known him since 7th grade. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
but he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
Go figure. So, same species I am, just not a fighter and a singer. Yes, he's going with the lounge lizard thing.
And Aaron is playing a Mon Calamari, right?
Yeah, he's playing the ship's technician, which essentially, actually,
Wait, what?
Yeah, actually, Dan, myself, I'm pretty sure others were totally trying to convince him to play him as this set in the Legacy era, which is like, shit's gone really bad for the Mon Cal in this. We wanted him to play like someone who talks like Nick Nolte. Just someone who's like a complete burnout drunk Mon Cal. Like, God damn it, the fucking hyperdrive's out of Jesus Christ.
Damn it.
Yeah, basically a pissed off drunk Tom Waits.
Right.
Who's also a fish guy. That's what we wanted to do, but no, he didn't want to do that.
You want to play Aaron.
Yeah, basically.
That's fine. And then, of course, my character is the...
Drumroll, please! Ross is playing...
Kevin Star Chaser. I was a moisture farmer on Tatooine, and now I'm not. And
thank the Force for that.
I put almost all my points into shooting things with blasters and dodging, and that's about it. I'm not good at anything else.
Essentially, you're a moisture farmer with a blaster rifle.
Yeah, and I've basically just settled on role playing him like Scruffy from Futurama.
Except he's a
Yeah.
Master marksman.
Yeah, exactly. After I murdered the bounty hunters in our ship, I said, I shot them, I'll clean up the brains. So I threw the bodies out the airlocks.
Like Kevin's going to die like Kevin lived.
So that's how I'm going to be playing Star Wars for a while, apparently.
This shows you why we'd be so much better to make the next Star Wars movie.
I was tempted to play a space wizard or Jedi, whatever, but I decided that's what I usually do is play the versatile investigator characters. I want to try something different. A guy who just shoots things and talks monosyllabic.
So that's the first and last option for you.
Well, space wizard, yeah.
No, shooting.
Well, no, for Scruffy. For
Scruffy,
Kevin, I'm sorry.
For Kevin, that's your first and last option.
Pretty
Shooting.
much, yeah. Or dodging, maybe a little bit.
So essentially, I could actually go and Kevin, shoot.
All right. I'll shoot them space fellers.
He's like, no, don't worry, they're stormtroopers. They can't hit a thing.
All right. Anyway, so but we also
in Star Wars, do stormtroopers have one dice in
Probably.
Blaster? It's
probably.
physically impossible for them to.
they probably have 2 dice. I mean, they do
their-
hit every once in a while.
No. No, they don't.
All right, fair enough. Well, no, or just main character. No, they hit other the rebel equivalent of stormtroopers. They hit the red shirts hit the red shirts. So it's the main characters have 2 hard dice and not being shot by stormtroopers. So the stormtroopers can't do anything about that. They can't possibly pierce that plot shield.
Plot shield activated.
All right, all makes sense now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my explanation of Prometheus. It's the old man's insane and everybody
No,
else.
just stop. Just stop.
Yes, come on, Russ. Let's go drink some Victory Gin and strangle a prole.
Yes. Finally, though, for one last anecdote, though, is I've rediscovered a game I'd forgotten about, a video game, The Warriors for the Xbox. And I reintroduced them. Based off the movie, yeah. This was made by Rockstar in 2005, and they just made it into this thing. And the single player is fine, but like what makes this the best multiplayer game, better on par with Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, in my opinion, is the battle royale modes. Caleb, do you want to talk about your experience? You just experienced it for the first time last night.
Yeah, I'd never played the multiplayer before, so you can unlock all the gangs in the movie, and eventually you can basically unlock all the character models used in the game and make your own gangs out of whatever character models you are. So playing on roster system, not mine, it was like prostitutes versus bums. So like all the homeless models versus all of the scantily clad women, or like security guards versus actual cops. And what Battle Royale is you take all these crazy, ridiculous, absurd gangs, you put them on a roof, and to the tune of salsa music, you try and throw each other off to your death in teams of 5, and it's every time someone gets every time someone gets thrown off, it goes slow mo to watch them go oh, and before cutting back to split screen. It's way more fun than it ought to be. Like, it's more fun than Call of Duty has ever been. it's absurdly entertaining.
It is, and I figured out how to record that video footage. So I think we'll do a RPPR Let's Play of multiplayer Rumble mode at some point, where we have everybody record the audio of us talking about it as we're trying to hobo murder each other off, throwing each other off the roof.
Well, yeah, and like each character model has its own little catchphrase and whatever. Yeah. So like you'll have a crazy bum in an army jacket throw a baseball fury off a roof and be like, "You ain't a man until you've been in Nam," and then you're just back to playing the game, and you have to try and stop laughing hard enough to actually control your characters.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that in mind, that's another RPPR video you'll have to be looking forward to. So with that, this will be ending episode 74, Kickstart My Heart. This is Ross Payton here with Tom Church and Caleb.
Yeah!
And we'll see you the next time.